Welcome
Yo.
to episode
Hello.
87 of Michigan Brews, our BJCP online exam kind of prep show. One of maybe a more serious topic we've had in a while. So, actually having a topic for a show.
One that we can stick to.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
hopefully we'll see. I'll time it and see how long it takes us to derail. I'll
Uh,
take responsibility for that.
I'm giving it like 5 to 10 minutes.
Nice.
For those not watching the show, Jordan's with us, and Brandon is back today too. Jason will be joining a little late today, but he will be on. Um, Basically, the topic of today is how to study and pass the BJCP online exam. Uh, so, I guess if we want to dive right into it, before that, maybe even what are you guys drinking?
Well,
Some Oktoberfest now that it's had like an actual little bit of time to lager.
I was going to say, it looks pretty. Yeah,
spot on, Brandon. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's
You
what
too,
I'm drinking too. Yeah.
me too.
Mhm.
Everybody had the same idea, still trying to
I was
knock them
saying,
all out before the
none of
season's
us
over.
none of us brewed the same beer
And I
at
brought
all.
a backup Oktoberfest as well.
Nice.
I haven't had Great Lakes. You'll have to let me know how that is.
It's pretty good from the earlier cans I had. Yeah.
Sir,
We'll get a
perfect.
review in the middle of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
So, I was the one that sort of came up with the idea for the show. People have asked me a couple times about doing something like this. A couple months ago, did like I don't know, I called it a short pour episode or a video on how I personally studied for the online BJCP exam. But I figured maybe we can have like a small panel of people together, of those that have passed it and those that haven't. Wanted to have a certified judge on too that has taken the tasting exam, just to sort of get that out of the way, but accidentally let that fall through today, so that's on me. But I guess maybe to start off, we can talk a little bit about why anybody would even want to join the BJCP or become a beer judge. Um, so I know, Brandon, you've already passed the online exam. Not to like put you on the spot, but
Mm.
do you have any thoughts on why you're kind of pursuing this route? It could be just because it's fun.
Oh.
It could be whatever, man.
Uh, Honestly, just to try to better train my taste buds, and then hopefully better train me to, find some of those faults myself. Because I'll be the first to say I have terrible taste buds. I like things or I don't like things. That's in articulating what I'm tasting and smelling and feeling. Not very good at that. So that's really my main is really to be a better brewer and better enjoy and describe the things I'm tasting and give people better tasting notes as well. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, couldn't have said that better myself. What about you, Jordan?
Yeah, that's I'm right in line with Brandon. Yeah, primarily it's entirely self-motivated. I want to be better at beer, so learning how to judge beer is going to, inversely, hopefully make me a better brewer. And then secondarily, as we've said a few times on this show, beer judges are aging, and I like giving back to the community as I can. I've been a home brewer for more than a decade now. Feels weird to say, but I
Yeah,
think
well,
we're at that point. Are we? Are we?
I'm,
Are we
I'm
that?
I'm younger than you in terms of brewing
Only
experience.
by a couple years. So,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah. So it kind of be my way to give back in the community, and from what I've learned here, and I'm sure other viewers have, it sounds like the current beer judges that we have are aging, and we need to get some younger blood into it. So I feel like that's a way for me to contribute back and you know
I'm
knock two
totally.
birds off.
Yeah, I really think that. I mean, the quality of beer now is even way better from homebrewers than it was when I first joined the hobby. And that could just be because I know better brewers these days than I did 8 years ago. But I'd like to believe that it's because people are actually brewing better these days. There's more knowledge and research and stuff like that out there. And yeah, I think that the BJCP is just another one of um, those avenues of exploration to sort of help me get better at making beer, and I like your point too, Jordan, giving back to the community too. We should point out that, like, the purpose of the BJCP really is just placed in homebrew competitions. It's not for, going out and being like, oh, I'm, a beer snob or whatever, and
Yeah.
this and this, and approaching
Mhm.
brewers in their brewery and being like, well, I'm a certified judge and blah blah blah. Like, the style guidelines themselves, they have a bit of a purpose outside of homebrew competitions. They set a nice benchmark for what a beer should be, perhaps if you're like brewing it for the first time. But as far as like actually judging and stuff like that, that's usually reserved for homebrew competitions itself. That's really what the organization's built around and for. So figure we throw that out there too. But the first step of becoming a beer judge is to take the online exam. So that's the point of the show today. So I'm going to maybe spend a few minutes here breaking down the online exam for people that have not taken it before or are just hearing about the BJCP today.
Mm.
So BJCP first starts with a beer judge certification program. Probably should have started with that at some point again. I'm sorry, beer. Yeah, yeah. So,
You got it.
but anyway, um, it, it's the online exam is 180 questions, and you have an hour to take it. So that breaks down to about 20 seconds per question. So not a ton of time
Nope.
when you're trying to slam through 180 questions, especially, and we'll kind of get to it a little bit maybe later in the episode too, how sometimes the questions are tricky or difficult. There's different types of questions on the exam. So it is open book, however, it's not proctored. You can sign up to take the exam whenever you like and however many times you like. I believe it is limited to once a day. And I hope I'm not wrong in saying that. Something in the back of my mind says you maybe only have like 5 chances to take it in a year or something, but I don't actually know if that's true. So somebody get in chat and correct me if I'm wrong on that. I apologize, but it's pretty cheap to take to get started. It's not like you have a really heavy monetary investment like something like the Cicerone certifications are. To take the online exam once, it's $10. To buy 3 chances at it, it's only $20. So,
Yep. No brainer.
yeah, really. If you don't feel super confident, but you still want to take the test once and kind of get a feel for what it's like, buy the 3-pack, spend the extra $10. Essentially gives you another free shot at it after.
Live dangerously.
Yeah, yeah. But it's not difficult to pass really in terms of percentages. So the online exam only requires 64% passing your correct answers uh, in order to pass. It's pass fail. You don't get to see what you got right or wrong after you take it, so you can't really study the exam after it's gone. And the next time you take it, all your questions are probably going to be different anyway. But of the 180 questions, there are 112 true or false. There are 44 multiple choice, and there's 24 multiple choice, multiple answer questions where you have to be like, select all of the ones where this is true or all the ones where this is false or whatever. So that totals up to the 180. I'm in reading the BJCP like study guide. I guess this is just totally random guessing on all of the questions, all the true, false, all the multiple choice. Considering you can get multiple choice answers usually down to like 1 or 2 that are going to be right. If you were to guess 50-50 on a multiple choice and just got 75% of the true and false correct and totally wild ass guessed on the multiple answer questions, you'll still probably wind up at a 43. So that's like 2/3 of the way to passing already, just by really kind of giving it your best shot without studying a whole lot. So putting down a little bit of time to study, using the resources that are available to you online, and double checking yourself will probably boost you up above something like a the 64%. But that's kind of the framework for the exam. So Brandon, you've passed it, and Jordan, you've taken it at least once, right?
Once, yep.
Okay.
It was completely on a whim. It was after I bought it. I bought the pack and sat on it for a week or so, and I'm like, you know what, I just need to take it. Had already been drinking that night, so I'm like, fuck it. I got 3 choices, so I just kind of went in blind, kind of went through it.
And I think it's a great way to do it. I mean, what was your experience? Do you feel like you have like a little bit of a better understanding of what you need to go back and maybe study
Yeah.
or really pick out?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I got hung up on with all the resources that are out there, honestly, I think I got too hung up on trying to make sure I had the right answer every time and spent too much time referencing my notes early on in the exam, which caused, a constraint towards the end. So I think that's kind of where I fell off, at least in terms of strategy, in terms of topics. Yeah, I need to brush up on differences between similar styles. So, like, there are a number of questions out there, like, if you, like, say, for instance, like, you have a beer that's brewed at like 6.7% alcohol, is more or less like, is that going to fit better in this category or that category? And like, some of them are going to be like really, really close. Like, is it more pale ale or is it more IPA or, what have you, just for a shitty example. But, just things like that. Or like if there are certain styles that have certain off flavors that are acceptable versus another style where it might not be.
Yeah.
That's kind of difficult because I know what the off flavors are and what the compounds are, but I don't know like the style specifically that where they're acceptable. So
like a diacetyl is usually acceptable in like Czech lagers, some like
certain
English beers, but not all English beers.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's and they try to trick you with those too. I think I was reviewing some like test questions earlier, and I think one of the questions was regarding if diacetyl was appropriate in like a brown ale, and I don't think it is. So, but it's like an English style, right? Sort of. So I don't know. It's
well, yeah. So it'd be like like a brown, like American brown ale versus like an English dark mild or something like
something
that.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be like, okay. I mean, those two styles are very, very similar, or at least they could be.
Yeah, and it was weird. It didn't really specify like American or anything like that. So maybe that's on me. I'm just being dumb. Maybe I lucked through the online exam. But what about you, Brandon?
I think if my memory serves, whatever last BJCP related episode you had back in February or March, somewhere in that time, is when I
better memory than I do.
You were talking about it, and and I decided that night I was going to go take the online exam on a whim, and just went to the BJCP website, maybe looked over it for 10 minutes, and was like, all right, I'm doing it, and logged in, pushed through it, and managed to pass it. Like,
because you're a genius.
So yeah, I'll say I'm good at test taking and like in reading things about beer that I probably partially remember things somewhere in the back of my gigantic noggin. So I don't know, but I did pass it my first try with luck, and I don't want to take it again either though.
I think that COVID has changed. Excuse me. I think that COVID has changed some of the rules regarding when or how long you have to take the tasting exam after you take the online exam.
Okay.
I think things have been, I don't know if it's like official, but I think things have become a little bit more lenient since 2020. If you do take your online exam and you do have to wait over a year to take your tasting exam, which is the next step, we'll talk about that maybe at the end of the episode, but talk to your local like BJCP representative and just kind of see if you can get their blessing on taking the online or on the taking the tasting exam live and take the online exam again. It'll probably be okay. Again, we're not the only ones that think that like new judges sort of really need to be brought into the pool. The BJCP as an organization, I'm pretty sure, feels that way as well. I have never helped out with or gone to or competed in a competition where I didn't see them post on Facebook or send out an email that says, "Hey, we are in desperate need of judges. It's next week. Like, can anybody help?" Happens all the time. Every single one.
Yep.
There's no such thing as too many judges. I don't think it will ever happen. And if it does, cool. I mean, this means everybody else gets out of there a little bit earlier, and maybe somebody gets a steward inside or something. I don't know, but it's important. So, yeah, my kind of journey through taking the online exam, I sort of maybe overstudied. I have this thing where like if I'm gonna do something, I need to like overcommit to like learning how to do it. Like when I started homebrewing, I don't actually think beyond the first Bell's homebrewing competition that Jordan helped me out with. Uh, I don't think that I brewed my first beer on my own until I like had read about brewing for like 4 months, just like reading the homebrewing subreddit and reading books and reading homebrew talk and being part of chats and stuff like that. And I still fucked up my first beer, but that's okay. At least I know what happened with it. Maybe I got to brew that again. Maybe this winter.
That was your chocolate
Chocolate
banana
banana.
porter. Yeah, I remember that.
Maybe I'll talk to David. I think David had a chocolate banana disaster beer too. So yeah, we'll have to get something like that going.
I kind of sorry. Continue
No,
the thought.
I was just saying I overstudied and created tools for myself, which I've talked about on the show before, and we'll bring back up in a little bit. But
I jump in. I like to. I have a condensed version of that. Like I get something on my mind, and I am like I'm doing it, jumping in, and I'll cram as much knowledge I can into a condensed area, and then convince myself, okay, let's do it, and just I'll try and fail until I get it right. I guess just is basically my. It happened to work out okay this time. When I took the first online entrance exam, but it doesn't always work out that way.
That's kind of going to be my approach. I mean, I just wanted to take it once to see like where my failures of knowledge were. And there's one thing I maybe you guys have different knowledge or experience, but neither one of you have failed. So maybe not. I guess that's the only thing. It kind of tells you like the breakdown, like after you finish your exam of like where you're. And I didn't take a screenshot of that, and I should have.
I did either, yeah.
And because I was like, I was just like, oh, I should be able. They're showing it to me now. I should be able to go back and reference it. For the life of me, cannot find that information anywhere on the website. In fact, I was just in there looking again to see if before I said it, where it's recorded here live. But yeah. So I'd love to have that information again. So I'll probably just. I kind of have an idea. Like I know styles was a big thing. So I'll probably just brush up on styles a bit more and then just, make sure that I'm not spending too much time per question and try it again here in the next few weeks.
I think Brandon has probably brewed more different styles than either of us, maybe even combined. I feel like every time Brandon comes to a homebrew club meeting, he's bringing something that I've never brewed before. So, granted, maybe a lot of New England's too, but I think you have a lot of good knowledge there. But with regards to style, something that I found I found really helpful was going back and just actually reading the BJCP guidelines like a book. Like just starting with American Light Lager and reading all through the first 26, I believe, categories is all the online exam focuses on. Red, I don't know. There's a lot of styles that I've never brewed, like Kentucky Common or something that I don't really know a lot about. But reading through like the common and less common like ingredient section and overall. Almost spilled a beer on myself. The overall what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, the overall commentary about the style and stuff were really helpful. And as you read that, you can sort of imagine what it tastes like if you were to brew it, just sort of based on what it compares to and contrasts to in that comment of the style guidelines. So I found that really helpful. Very much a visual learner, so it would have been nice to literally be able to go and like buy and try every single beer, be able to look at it and taste it and examine it and stuff. But sort of being able to imagine drinking a beer after reading about it really helped me out a lot. I think it's a good first step for sure. It was the first time that I had ever read through the full guidelines.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever read through the full guidelines. I mean, pardon me. I've went through, like, I wouldn't say anecdotally, but maybe that's the right word. Just trying to find styles to brew. And then usually once I come to a new style that I'm going to brew, the BJCP guidelines is the first thing that I end up referencing. But it's also been a long time since I've brewed something that I haven't brewed before. So,
yeah. I know I've brewed lots of styles, but as I did find out recently, to go off topic already.
No, you're fine.
But we made it over 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a record.
But it's related but different. The Master Homebrew program, that spreadsheet just really kind of showed me how few of those styles I've submitted to competitions though. Like even though I may have brewed a lot of different styles, like I'll make them and either be like, I don't want to drink all this, or I don't know if that's right, or I don't know if it turned out right. So it will make me kind of go back through and rebrew things or brew new things just to submit them into competitions.
Yeah,
slightly off topic, slightly meta here. Am I a little quiet for you guys right now?
I was gonna say I've noticed that you were a touch quieter than usual.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if that was on my end or not. I've been messing with my interface earlier today. So
how about now? Is it a little bit better? Am I too loud now?
No, you sound great.
Okay. I cranked my gain up just a little bit, so I don't know if I accidentally knocked it or something, but we'll see. I'm not maybe quite as close to my mic as I normally am too. I've been noticing in some episodes if I get too close to my mic, I have a little bit of like a lisp, and my S's sort of like carry into the mic a little bit, and I get annoyed listening to myself. So
get one of those socks to put on top of it. That's that'll the pop filter that'll help.
It's not even so much that, it's just I don't know, like I need to put like a de-esser filter or something on our audio. I don't know. I don't know too much about audio. I'll have to. Maybe I should start
no longer Michigan Brews. This is Michigan audio mixing.
I'll have to get Travis involved or something. But no, so reading through the BJCP guidelines is probably a really good first start. There's also, for free, a 20-question test that you can take using the exact same software that the real online exam uses.
Yep.
It's bjcp.coursewebs.com. What's going on, Matt? Hope you're having a good night, man. But it's free. Hop on, create an account. You get 6 minutes to do 20 questions, but it gives you a nice idea of like what the questions are going to be like. You get to review all your questions afterwards, unlike with the real online BJCP exam. So that can sort of help you maybe flesh out where you need to study a little bit too. I was thinking about, and I had presented this question in our group chat earlier between Jordan and Jason and I about taking the online practice exam live on stream here. But then if it's the exact same test for everybody, I didn't really want to spoil the like the questions for everybody or something. Like I don't want somebody watching the show and then like watching us take this test and like, well, no, I can't take the online exam. I don't have anything to study.
I'm pretty sure it's a random sampling.
I couldn't find anywhere that said
and
it was,
all the questions are copyrighted. It does say that right on their website.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yes. So I don't think you want to do
that. Yeah. There's another set of questions available through Beer Syndicate. They're not like real online exam questions. And in fact, I think that they are much, much harder than the real BJCP online exam questions. So it's worth going just to see the format of the questions, but I don't think that they're as good an example of what you'll actually be taking uh, compared to the real BJCP practice exam. So uh, do the practice exam, get an idea of what they're going to be like, and yeah, don't sue us for copyright infringement. What else? Uh, so knowing beer is important. Jordan, you mentioned this earlier. Knowing all flavors is important too.
Yep.
There's a whole sort of catalog of all flavors, and like you can find them all over on every single website or whatever. Read through all of the different off flavors that are out there and understand what is and isn't appropriate in some styles. Usually, nothing. It's really uncommon for most off flavors to be, acceptable in most styles. But no, like when diacetyl,
Yeah.
for example, is okay, or maybe like a little DMS is okay, or something like that, or like even smokiness. Like some styles can be smoky and some aren't, and like wee heavy for some reason. Like I feel like a lot of breweries have it in their head that wee heavies are supposed to be like peated or smoky or something like that, and they're not.
Yeah. No.
That's not like two style or whatever.
There's a yeast character, yeah.
Yeah,
Supposedly.
yeah. Even as a yeast character, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Brandon, in our private chat here.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd watched this, but that guy just started doing some BJCP videos.
I did. Yeah, I caught him on Reddit. So after the
Mhm.
episode's over, I'm gonna create some links. I'm gonna create a post on our Facebook and link to some other good YouTube videos.
Yeah, that's probably where I saw him too, was on Reddit.
Yeah. Yeah, super smart guy. He's a Grandmaster 1 or 2 judge or something.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I just saw the link, but I'm almost positive I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, Omer Basha. Yeah.
Yeah. And another thing to, I guess, ensure that you're studying that I honestly just went in completely blind. Is the what is it, like BJCP like guidelines for I guess not guidelines, maybe rules for like competition coordinators and judges. And like there were a few questions I remember that were kind of almost story-esque, of like, okay, well, if a competition coordinator has a beer within the competition and they're short judges, is it acceptable for that coordinator to then become a judge as long as it's not they're not judging the style that they're in or something like that?
Right. Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, you could kind of see it both ways. Like, they're the head of the competition, maybe they shouldn't have a beer in it or something like that. But I didn't do like any like reading into any of that, and I just, pardon me, thinking on it, remember a couple of those questions sticking out. It was just kind of, was like, okay, didn't expect that. But
That was the next point that I wanted to make on the little agenda that I made myself. So it's funny that, that you went there. It's like
perfect.
we're sharing information like a proper team of presenters.
We're
or
just
something.
telepathically linked.
But yeah, I think reading through and understanding how competitions are ran is important, especially if you're going to be a judge or even a steward. Yeah.
Yep.
Going and actually getting practical experience is even better. Go and steward or judge. I mean, if you're if you think you make good beer and you want to get practice like judging and understanding how to write score sheets and stuff like that, go see if they need judges. They'll set you down
Yep.
with somebody that's experienced that can walk you through stuff, and it can be a little nerve wracking like the very first time you do it, but
I would
went and-
honestly. Oh, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I went and judged by myself for the very first time yesterday, and it was fine. Now that I feel like I have a couple under my belt and understand like the steward's job and how much time you really are supposed to take for score sheets and how many best of shows work and stuff like that. So I think you just have to do it like anything. And the first time you do it might be a little weird, and then after that, it's kind of
Yep.
it's muscle memory.
I've been looking out for opportunities to go in and steward so I can get my hands wet with it. But I was planning on going out to the Michigan Mead Cup, and I think I had some family things come up, or I was planning on being out of town. I can't recall exactly, but didn't end up making that, nor the O'Connors. Is that the one that you were just at, Brian?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was nice. It was very small and intimate. I ended up helping out with a particular category that had like a bunch of entries in it, and we ended up splitting off some of the later entries between judges that have finished their own flights and stuff. So it was,
I wanted to submit to that competition, but didn't.
You've won.
I won my category and then took third best of show.
Okay.
The one time that I entered the competition.
That's great.
You should have done it again then.
Yeah, I should have. But
I was signed up to help with the Michigan Mead Cup, but got sick the Wednesday before with a cold and couldn't make it for the Michigan Mead Cup either. I was really bummed. That was going to be the first time I went and tried to either steward or judge because I signed
that
up.
was going to be my first time too.
So I was pretty bummed that that I didn't. Jeff had emailed me about some other stuff related to it, and I responded like the morning I was going to email him, like asking, "Hey, do you think you could maybe do this before you come up here?" I'm like, "Well, maybe." I said, "I feel like I'm coming down with something today, so depending on how I feel tomorrow, I'll have an answer for you on that." And it was just like, nope. I felt like trash the next day. It's like I couldn't taste or smell anything. I'm just finally like my taste buds are like 80-90% back now finally. But
Well, welcome back to the party.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There will be more opportunities. I think at some point in time we need to work on getting some sort of like large-ish 200 to 300 beer competition down here in Kalamazoo because we really don't have anything in the Southwest here aside from our own club competition. So
yeah, I think the only other one that's large is the Bell's Homebrew competition, but that's not a BJCP.
Correct.
I think that would be a good club goal is to have like a, we have our Keepers Cup for our members, but to have another cup for or some other tournament or competition rather for everyone. That would be fun.
Yeah, it really would, and it's a good revenue source for homebrew clubs. Just have to really sort of get people interested. I think that I don't know if people that are watching or listening are part of the Master Homebrewer program, who we're going to have on hopefully in 2 weeks here. Got to nail that date down, but I'm pretty sure. But they recently started ranking competitions based on how good the score sheets were and how many BJCP judges they had, and
that's amazing.
How cool the prizes are. Like what the badges look like. Do you get any supplementary prizes? What's the best of show prize like? Like do you get a belt or like a sword or something, or do you just get like a big ribbon?
Wait, is there a competition that has a sword? Because that's
Absolutely.
all I'm going to submit to from now on.
We talked about it like a month ago, and for the life of me, I don't remember what it is anymore. Somebody popped up in chat and said, I think it was Joe, maybe Joe Bellevue or something that popped in, but there definitely is one that has a sword. There's a few that have belts, and Mazer Cup I think has like a giant cup, maybe not giant, but definitely larger than the normal awards. Michigan State Fair has a giant trophy that you get your name engraved on, which is pretty freaking sweet. And some have big cash prizes sometimes. I think there's a few like circuits down in Texas that do like big cash prizes. Somebody in a Discord I'm part of, I can't remember what state it was. It was an invitational. You could submit to competitions around the state, and if you placed so well, you got invited to come to the state competition and serve your beer. And while you were serving your beer, they were doing a BJCP competition with, these invitees entries. And if you won, if you got best of show for that, I think the prize was $2,000 and a
Wow,
belt and some other stuff. So I mean, freaking sweet,
that's
Home brewery
And the title
upgrades.
of best
yeah,
home brewer in the state.
yeah.
So
That's
uh,
that's
wild.
quite the prize.
So something like that would be cool. But we'll figure it out. At Kalamazoo, I wish we had a pro am like what Grand Rapids has, where you can brew with like pro brewers and compete and stuff like that. I don't know if we necessarily have enough breweries around to do it now that are super big, especially if we want to have a lot of people participating.
Right.
Yeah.
Lots of things to think about. But sorry, back off topic again. Back to the BJCP online exam, I guess.
Hey man, we made it. We made it
Well,
well into the show.
we kind of talked about it a little bit. Just having some general brewing knowledge is really important for the exam too. There are questions that ask about processes. You know, if you were brewing a beer and you wanted to have your beer remain or be a little bit more drier, I guess, or something. The question might be phrased like, then you would mash at a higher temperature, true or false? Right? So it's kind of a trick question. So you would say false because you want to mash at a lower temperature to
Mhm.
get more of those convertible sugars. But it's like, it's one of those questions that you sort of have to think about. They don't ask you, hey, if you brew or if you mash at a lower temperature, like what's that going to do, to your beer, or if
Yeah.
compared to if you mash it at like a higher temperature. So it's like you got to read into it a little bit, but it's not hard. And those are the sort of questions that you rip through. You can
Mhm.
answer that in like 3 seconds, and the more of those that you answer in 3 seconds, the other 17 seconds add up for you to be able to do a little bit of a search online for something you're not sure of, or go back at the end of the exam to review questions that you marked for review,
Yep.
which you can do. I believe it's been a while since I took the exam, but I think you can
Yeah.
mark questions to be reviewed and then go back and actually look at those as you have time at the end.
I do remember that being the case. Yeah. I know I kind of did that too, where occasionally, I'd rip through a few questions and be like, okay, this one I'm not sure of. I've got like a minute to maybe go back or to go to the BJCP website and look. And that's kind of where I was also telling you too. After I saw your spreadsheet you made after I did it, I was like, "Oh man, that would have been so much. That would have been so much easier to search than me going through the BJCP website because I didn't fully prepare or at least adequately prepare.
Yeah.
I just jumped in. So yeah,
Well, let's talk about like resources. So, I mean, we've talked about the BJCP guidelines obviously being a really good resource, but yeah, that spreadsheet I made. I'm gonna plug this thing again. There's no like,
hmm
it's out there to be helpful for people. There's nothing special about it. You can make a copy of it and edit it to your heart's content. But let me uh, let me share my screen here for a sec.
no, I think that's a great resource just for anyone to start out with.
I recently switched to Firefox from Chrome, so still getting used to a few of
I've
these
been
things here.
I switched over to Brave a little bit ago. We'll see if I stick with it.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the spreadsheet, and for those listening on the podcast later, I apologize, but I'll create a post on our website or check out our Facebook page for the link so you can kind of see what we're talking about. But I created a spreadsheet that lists off all of the first 26 categories and subcategories. And next to each subcategory, I have made a entry for styles that the beer is compared to in the BJCP guidelines. So, for instance, if you look at Hellesbach under the BJCP guidelines, it mentions Dunkelsbach, Helles, Festbier, and Doppelbach as all styles that to compare and contrast it to. So I've made entries here, and you can reference Hellesbach, in this example, versus Dunkelbach, the carbonation, the body, the IBUs, OG, FG, ABV, color. And if anything is drastically different, I try to color code it a little bit. So if you look at Helles right here, uh, the I'm not sure why I bolded this. I got to go back and review this at some point in time. But so, say for like final gravity, the final gravity is like way lower for Munich Helles versus a Helles Bach. The ABV is way lower. The color is more light. So, just a really quick, easy way to reference style comparisons because those are a chunk of questions on the test.
Yep.
And then on the overall impression, I just kind of copied that in as well because you might have to reference that. But I go all the way through for all the styles, so you can do a quick search for any of these and hopefully not have to waste a ton of time going through the BJCP guidelines and actually looking it up if you're not sure. I mean, I would always recommend that you try to know as much as possible so you're not having to reference this. But it's really good to have if you have extra time at the end of the exam where you want to go back and double check yourself or go back and for sure answer something.
It's way better than I wasn't even smart enough to download the PDF BJCP stuff. I was on the website, so like I'm literally navigating the styles. I did it the most poor way possible. So don't do that. Learn from my mistakes.
There is also, I'm going to bring this up too. I'm going to remove this from real quick here. I mentioned Beer Syndicate earlier. They have something called the Compare-O-Matic, I think.
I just saw that as I was looking stuff up.
I don't know. I'm going to check here. It's at one point in time, I thought you might have had to create an account to access it.
I think you do.
Yeah. So I'm not going to. Oh, I already have an account. Okay. It's cool. I guess we'll show that too real quick. So this is sort of like my spreadsheet, except you kind of have to search for stuff one by one. So if you wanted to compare, let's do log. Oh, you can't do American. Let's do American light lager and American lager. You can compare the two, and it'll set them out side by side, kind of like this. It has all the same vital statistics at the bottom, all of the comments and history and mouthfeel and stuff like that. It's nice, but I don't know if it's necessarily as easy to pick apart quickly, as just like the spreadsheet. So it's nice for studying. I think it's really, really nice for studying. I'm not sure if it's something that you want to use to reference in the middle of the exam, but I think for comparing styles, especially if you wanted to reference my spreadsheet and then pop a couple styles in here and read all the BJCP guidelines right next to each other, style to style. It's a really, really, really nice tool. Again, you do have to create an account, but it doesn't cost anything to create the account. So, just another nice tool. So, another nice study tool.
Yeah.
I think one of the other issues that I had is that I had too many resources open while I was just trying to fly through the exam. So it kind of like, ideally, like the study guide and I think your compare sheet, Brian, would probably be enough having both of those. But I had like the style guidelines up and like another website and a few other things. So I was like constantly trying to bounce back between, and you just don't have time to do that amount of research. And a big part of it for me was understanding or knowing, committing to memory differences in styles. Because there's a lot of questions that deal with that. And it's not just like true or false questions. There are like, multiple choice or multiple answer questions that have to do with beer styles as well. So they give you a nice breakdown of like how many multiple choice questions, how many true false questions there are. But I mean, I think it's it's definitely something that I know myself I need to study on a bit more, is committing at very least the styles that I know well and committing that information to memory a bit more.
And again, those questions, if you really knock true false out of the park and multiple choice out of the park, those don't matter a whole lot. There's only 24 of them, and even if you guessed on most of them, as long as you
Yep.
got 75% of your true false and 50% of your multiple choice, you're passing. So obviously, really really important. But I would spend the least amount of time worrying about the multiple choice questions than all the
Yep.
others. I would not spend any time looking up answers for the multiple answer questions unless you just had all the time in the world at the end of the exam. You will spend, 2 to 3 times as much time looking those answers up because it's they're going to get
Yep.
questions like, you know, comparing an American porter and an American stout, which of the true or which of the following are true of American porter and not of American stout or something like. Uh, I mean, you're gonna get 5 answers, and you literally have to look up every single one of them for both styles in order to know for sure whether you're right or not. So give it your best with just the knowledge that you have, and move on. Worry about the true false. Worry about the multiple choice. That's my recommendation there.
Yep. Don't spend a lot of time on any one question.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
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 But that's, I think, all I have as far as my study notes. Do you guys have anything else that you thought was helpful when you were going through the exam or anything?
I have one piece of advice that my buddy Rob gave me all my years through college when I lived with him, and it's very simple. It's 2 words: do it.
Yeah.
I know not much to it. Like, but
Yeah.
that's what I tell people all the time when they say something. Just do it. Yeah.
I sat on it for a while, and that's sort of what I did. It was on a lunch break at work one day, and I'm like, you know what? Like I told Shane, I'm just like, I'm gonna close my door for a little bit here, and I'm gonna take the beer exam. And then I think it was like maybe a week later, I'm like, well, now that I took the beer exam, I'm just gonna do the mead exam. So that's 200 questions in an hour,
Whew.
and I just went and did the mead exam, and I passed that too. So
Nice.
just do it. The mead exam, it's it's a lot of like honey varietal questions and things like that.
Oh,
But it's a lot of stuff that's again pretty easy to reference online.
like tasting notes or like
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Like what a raspberry blossom honey is, actually tastes like or something. Or,
Okay.
Metaphone
That-
or
That one
yeah.
might be kind of difficult. I could probably answer the Metafoam one.
I was say Metafoam I'd know, but
Yeah, certain ones. I don't know. Now I'm curious too. But I don't know if I want to cram 200 questions. Geez, 20 more questions.
It's not bad, especially like there's a couple websites like BJCP, like mead ingredient reference guides and stuff that you can use that have
Gotcha.
answers to like 75% of the questions, and if you don't know them, so you don't really have to bounce around a whole lot. Again, I always suggest that you try to study and know the answers for yourself, because you don't want to walk into a beer judging or like a mead judging and sit down and be like, all right, I'm tasting a like buckwheat and Tupelo traditional like medium dry.
oh,
Like what am I supposed to be tasting here? And yeah,
wow.
you gotta. So
No, sorry, I went off topic. You were doing mead, and I was thinking of like after I, get or fail at the beer one, I want to take my hand at the cider exam as well. And I was like, I don't know how many questions that is. And I got really excited at first because it only said 100, but it gives you 30 minutes.
oh,
Woo.
Like that's cooking.
I've never. I don't know. Cider's hard, man. I would want to do that. Maybe I'll have to do that one of these days. I don't know who around here could put on a cider exam. I'm sure we can find somebody. I know the least amount about cider than pretty much any other alcoholic beverage. Like I probably know more about wine than cider. Like apple varietals.
Yeah.
I probably know more about grape varietals than apple, because like I've had very very few single apple varietal ciders. Uh,
That's
we
true.
don't really have any straight up
Yep. No, so
ciders when it
yeah,
comes
I
to.
think we had the most, or at least I had the most, probably at NHC. That guy that had single varietal apple ciders there.
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
that would be interesting to try.
He had like at least 3 or 4 of them, anyways. So that, and that's saying something. Like I know he had Northern Spy and a couple
Yeah.
others. Yeah.
That's like one of the few that I know for sure I've had.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just had that like a couple weekends ago or something like that. Northern Spy. Never even heard of it before.
Well, I guess we can recap a little bit. So,
Mm.
the BJCP online exam, 180 questions. You have 60 minutes to knock it out. Don't spend too much time on any one question, especially not the multiple answer ones. But even if you are just random guessing, you can probably get yourself close to 2/3 of the way to passing just by narrowing down multiple choice questions and knocking out your true and false questions to the best of your ability. Um, Study up where you can. Read through the BJCP exams. Read how to brew, especially if you're a little bit of a newer brewer, or if you don't have a ton of brews under your belt, because there are some process questions on there, and how to brew will answer literally every process question that's going to be on the BJCP exam. Utilize the study guide, the BJCP exam study guide. That'll have a ton of resources for you to use. Have the study guide. I'm sorry. Have the guidelines open when you're taking the exam. Have our spreadsheet open when you're taking the exam. Use it for reference, but don't use it as a source of truth. Like use your best judgment, use your knowledge, and then maybe look up some answers at the end. Or if you know you have a little bit of time for a question, go ahead and use that little bit of extra time to look up your answer. And like Brandon said, just do it.
That's right. Let's do it.
Let's
Yeah,
do
like
it.
you said, I'm pretty sure you could mark some of them because I know I did end up going back to certain questions at the end because I tried to tear through it as quick as I could and then go back with whatever time I had left. I think I had like 8 minutes left when I got through everything. Something like that.
Even if you're flying through it, you're not going to have that much time left at the end. But
well, I think that about covers it. If you have any questions, if anybody has any questions about taking the online exam, I mean, none of us here, we're having this show because we're all new to this and we want to sort of grow into the BJCP and judging beer and stuff with each other and with other people. If you have any questions or you want to join like a study group or something, hit us up. Our Homebrew Club Keepers of Craft has a small group right now going that is trying to take and pass the online exam and then go on and do the tasting exam. Brandon, you and I right now are signed up to do that in March, I think, the tasting exam.
April,
beginning of April. Yeah. So that's going to be in Eastern Michigan. So not too far away.
I'm going to do what I can to make sure I pass before then so I can come with you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. And please feel free to reach out. I mean, we're just all, we're growing and learning together, and it's fun. It's not about being a better taster or a better beer person than anybody else. It's about giving constructive feedback to people that are spending their time and energy to send you beer and making sure that they get something out of it. And winning medals is sweet and all, but really, like Jordan said, I want to give back. I want to help people grow as homebrewers. I want to grow myself as a homebrewer. There's no better place to taste both good and sometimes bad beer than at a homebrew competition. You're going to get a huge variety of qualities there and styles, and
same with your local homebrew club meetings.
Join a homebrew club. Join if you're in Southwest Michigan. Join Keepers of Craft. Come see us. Come hang out with us. Send us a message or something. But Brandon, Jordan, thank you for being on tonight. Thank you for everybody that was in chat. Tim, I see you. I hope you enjoyed Hocus Pocus 2. Don't worry about it. Watch the show later. Take the online exam. Let's take the tasting exam together. Let's kill it. Let's rock it out. Let's make Southwest Michigan the best set of BJCP judges that exists. Let's create a new awesome competition. Let's get it on the circuit of America for the Master Homebrewers program. Let's just rock it out. But for everybody else, I appreciate you being here tonight, and have a good evening.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Woo.